Hey guys, Glocky here, and it's about time for this long-awaited video, the Glock 19 versus the H&K P30. Sorry guys, I know I've been out a while, I've been busy with work, but here it is finally, for all you guys who've been waiting. And you see the two pistols in front of you now, so we're going to go ahead and just jump right into it. Alright guys, here we go, Glock 19 versus the H&K P30. Alright guys, so continuing on. Here's what we're going to be covering with this review of the two pistols. Alright, as you can see, the first couple of things there are going to be scored objectively. As far as hammer fire and striker fire, that's not really something that you're going to be scored. It's going to be more of a preference type of deal. Field stripping is the same thing. Some people could take the Glock apart easier, some people could take the HK apart easier. It's all, based on the person, so that's going to be scored objectively as well by the individual user. As far as what's going to be scored, here's the list there, and then you can just read that and we'll conclude, and I'll just give you guys, my personal opinions of the two pistols, and then we'll just go from there. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and move on. Okay guys, the first thing we're going to talk about here is fire style. Now as I said, it's going to be scored in an objective manner, okay? Let's start with the Glock 19. The Glock 19 is a striker fired pistol. What does that mean? That means it only has a single strike capability, which means if you pull the trigger and that round does not go off, you have to rack that slide, get rid of the round that's in there, and you're going to load a new round into the chamber, and then your pistol will be live again. It is a double action only pistol, so that means every time you pull the trigger, you have to go back to a reset point and in order for you to pull the trigger again, okay? As far as the trigger pull, it is a 5.5 pound trigger pull, which is not too bad. Some people like it a little heavier, some people like it a little lighter. That's on you if you want to go out and buy a heavier or a lighter trigger. Moving on to the H&K P30, it is a hammer-fired pistol. What does that mean? That means it does, in fact, have a second strike capability. Now, some people like that, some people don't. Some people feel if you pull that trigger and that round doesn't go off, you should get rid of that round. Others feel like if that round doesn't go off, give it a second shot, pull that trigger one more time, see if that striker can actuate the round. There is a possibility of a hammer obstruction as far as hammer-fired pistols go. It's not very likely, but it's always possible something can fall down there preventing the hammer from hitting the striker. It's a double-action, single-action trigger. What that means is that first pull is going to be a big 11.5 pounds unless you pull that hammer down and put the pistol into single action mode. Now that's all on you how you decide you want to fire the pistol. Some people like to carry it in double action, some people like to carry it in single action. It's all on you. Like I said, this is scored objectively. Some people prefer striker, some people prefer hammer. It's all on the person. So that's all we're going to say about that, and we're going to go ahead and move on to the next step. Alright guys, let's talk about takedown, okay? Like I said earlier, it's going to be scored objectively. It's all on the person. Some people find the Glock easier to take apart. Some people find the HK easier to take apart, okay? But let's go ahead and just show how each pistol is taken apart, okay? As far as the HK, obviously, magazine's already out. Rack your slide, make sure there's nothing in the chamber. You're going to pull your slide back. You see this second notch over here? Or actually, it's the first notch you'd see, but you're going to pull it back until you get your slide catch right on there. You're just going to pull your slide catch out a little bit. It doesn't come out completely, so don't try to force it out and damage your pistol. Then you're just going to push your slide right off and the gun is apart. As far as the Glock, obviously make sure nothing inside the chamber. Pull your trigger. Going to pull your slide back just a little. Use the takedown levers to pull down and release the slide and just pull it right off. Okay, so that's how the pistols come apart. They come together just as easily. Just to show you, just line up the rails, pull it right back to that notch, push your slide catch right into the HK, and your pistols back together. Same thing with the Glock. Just line up the rails, pull it back, and it's back together, and your pistols are both back in live mode, okay? So let's go ahead and move on to the next step, okay? Okay, guys, the next thing I wanted to talk to you about is price range, okay? Let's go ahead and start with the Glock 19. Your average price range for a Glock 19 is going to be anywhere from $499 to $599. Why is that? Well, for the most part, Glocks have less parts. There's only about 35 parts in a Glock. The Glock company itself is pretty much only known for handguns, okay? That's all they make. Glocks are pretty simple. There's no bells or whistles cosmetically. The Glock is here to shoot, and that's about it. Moving on to the H&K P30, your average price range is going to be about $849 to $949. Why is that? Well, there are more parts in the H&K P30. There's about 51 parts inside of a P30. H&K is known for making some big guns, guys, real big guns. They have big military contracts. That really puts a reputation behind the company, okay? And if you look at the H&K P30, it's a pretty attractive looking gun, almost like it's from the future, okay? So keeping all that in mind, what does that mean as far as who gets the nod on this? Well, on price range, it looks like Glock is going to get the nod, okay? It's a lot easier to spend $400 to $500 on a Glock versus $800 to $900, okay? So Glock is going to get the nod on this one. Let's go ahead and move on to the next step. All right, guys, the next thing we're going to focus on here is size and weight, okay? Let's go ahead and start with the Glock 19. All right. The Glock 19 is advertised as having a length of 6.85 inches, a height of 5 inches, a width of 1.18 inches. Its weight with an empty magazine is going to be 23.45 ounces, okay? Now, moving on to the H&K. It has an advertised length of 6.99 inches, a height of 5.43 inches, a width of 1.37 inches, and its weight with an empty magazine is going to be 26.1 ounces, okay? Looking at the two pistols together. You can see up top, I guess the HK is a little longer, all right? A little taller as well, I guess. All right, so there's a little bit of a size difference on the two pistols. So scoring-wise, what's that going to mean? Well, looks like the Glock's going to take the nod on this one too, okay? It's a little smaller, a little lighter, which means it's going to be a little easier to conceal. Obviously, I myself personally have no problem concealing the H&K P30, and you probably won't either. As far as the weight difference, there's not really much of a difference for the most part that anybody would notice. But the Glock is a little smaller, a little lighter, so it's going to take the slight nod on this one, okay, guys? So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. All right, guys, let's go ahead and talk about safety, the next scored spec. Looking at the Glock 19, there's no manual safety. You got your trigger safety, your firing pin safety, your drop safety, and the pistol is double action only, okay? Moving on to the H&K P30. Just like the Glock, there's no manual safety. It's got a hammer intercept notch, a firing pin block, a disconnector, and the version 3 does have a decocker. I think there is another version that also has a decocker, but the V3 does have a decocker, which safely allows you to drop the hammer without striking the firing pin, okay? So what does that mean? Both pistols are going to get a score of 1 as far as safety goes. You can't really go wrong with either pistol as far as safety goes. Some people prefer having a manual safety, some don't. I personally prefer not having a manual safety, so both of these pistols work just fine for me, okay? So both are going to get a 1, so both get the nod as far as safety goes, okay? So let's go ahead and move on to the next level. All right, next thing we're going to talk about is firepower. Now, there's not really much to say here, okay? Both pistols, as you can see, both pistols have a 15-round standard magazine, okay? So guess what that means, guys? That means it's a tie. Neither pistol holds an advantage as far as firepower goes, okay? You're going to have a 15-round standard magazine, which is plenty for out in the street, okay? And keep in mind, this is 9mm, okay? Once you start switching the calibers, it becomes either a little less, a little more, depending on, you know, what kind of options you're looking to carry. But firepower, it's going to be a tie. Both pistols are going to score 1 on this, okay? Let's go ahead and move on to the next.